welcome to the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu. Please give me a signal if you can hear me. If you cannot hear me, let me know so I can fix my audio or video. But welcome to the show. Today's show is going to be wonderful. We have three things table for discussion today. Obviously, you know, we are still in the negotiation stages for the 2022 budget. And in doing so, we have taken a look at a couple of countries, I think 4 of them or so. We looked at Malawi, Uganda, Congo, and our own neighbor, Ivory Coast, who have also implemented a version of E-levy. And we are going to take a look at the E-levy to ensure what they have, done at their level, what they have implemented in those countries in comparison to what has been proposed in Ghana, and see if there are things we can learn from them, if there are tweaks we can make to ours, so that we can also have a way to generate revenue to kind of cover the gaps that we currently have in terms of our tax to GDP ratio. We are currently hovering at around 12%, which is below the sub-Saharan African standard. Sub-Saharan Africa is actually registering a 15.7% tax to GDP. But of course, Ghana is around 12.4%, which is even below what Southern Asia countries actually generate annually. So can we be able to learn lessons from what we saw or what has been done in Uganda or what has been done in Congo or what even Cote d'Ivoire did to see if, we can also implement E-levy in Ghana, in our country, to cover the revenue generation gap. So that will be one of the things we talk about, the first topic we deal with today. I'll be joined today by my regular panelist, Paul Disosu of the NDC, also Efa Amaya of MPP, and if we are lucky, we would have Ato Komina Danso, who's a neutral, would also join us to discuss the details or the matters we table for discussion. Also, Daniel Amposa will be joining and canvassing for the MPP. The second topic we table for discussion today is the GPRTU strike and a couple of other strikes in the country. We've seen multiple demonstrations, mostly because of the proposals in the 2022 budget, some specifically the GPRTU one, pointing out the recent increases in fuel prices as a reason for the demonstration. They are saying that it wants certain tax handles or tax provisions in our country be reduced. If you see me looking sideways, it is because Manchester United is playing and I have my TV on and I'm watching. We are 1-0 up. Penalty by Ronaldo, so I'm excited. So if you're watching the game as well, give us a shout out. Let us know you are watching. I see Akwesi B. Nemo of Akko Radio is watching us, and you have indicated that our sound is working perfectly. Thank you, Kwesi. Akwesi Nemo, for watching. We really appreciate it. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. The Ghana Agenda is on, and today's discussion is going to be very interesting. We're talking about 3 things: GPRTU demonstration and other demonstrations that we've witnessed. One that was named Demonstration for Justice or Justice for Ghana, which was led by Bernard Moner, and that one was specifically for demands that the E-levy be revised, etc., etc. So please tell a friend to tell a friend. I'll be joined by my regular panelists and we'll be discussing the budget, where it is, what should be done going forward, whether, the E-levy should be implemented or scrapped. There were countries that scrapped it, and I could go over the story. So what we've seen in Uganda, and even across the board, all the countries that have so far proposed some shape of E-levy, we found out that no country actually proposed even 1.5%. The maximum they've proposed, again, in Uganda, they proposed 1% somewhere in May of 2018. And then, there were demonstrations, just like we are seeing in Accra, where people are demonstrating. Even in various cities yesterday, we witnessed demonstrations from Sunyani, Agape, etc., just kind of expressing frustration over the hardship that people are actually going through as a result of, increasing prices or this, new taxes that has been introduced by this current government. So, in our discussion, we are going to look at what are some of the motivations? What is behind this tax that we are seeing in the various countries? And is it that these countries are just mimicking each other? Because what we are seeing in Ghana was done in Uganda. Okay, so Uganda, they introduced a 1% in May 2018. People agitated. They went back to the drawing board and revised that to 0.5. So Uganda currently have a 0.5% tax on transaction fees. The criticism is that it is only on it's only on mobile money transactions and not on bank transactions. And what you find is that mobile money is heavily used by actually people who are poor. In other words, the rich have access to the banking system. They have the minimum deposit requirement. They have the ID card requirement in order to open a bank account. So the rich, when they have to do those transfers, usually would refer to the banking system versus actually looking at the mobile money as their only way. So what we saw, or what was published about the Uganda case study, was that when they introduced the E-levy, transaction volumes actually fell significantly. You could see the number of transactions being done in a period has significantly gone down. And we also saw that the value has gone down. So mostly you will see people transferring anything below maybe $100 to all the way up to $2,000 and above. And you realize that the people who actually transfer anything more than $2,000 are, of course, well-to-do people who have access to the banking system. And so when mobile money transaction taxes were introduced in Uganda, immediately those with the means and access to the banking system fell off and went to do their transactions in the banking system. You could see that the higher value transactions actually fell off as, compared to the lower value transactions. So interesting that, we'll see what's interesting to see what, the situation will be in Ghana. So that is Uganda. They introduced that. They currently have a 0.5% tax on COVID. Okay, I'm being joined by my guest. So far, I have Paul Diso, so I'm going to bring him in as I continue to introduce the topic. Paul Diso, welcome to the Ghana Agenda. I see you on the road. How are you today? I've just been talking about the topics we table for discussions, but I'll let you say your good morning, hi to my listeners before I continue to do that introduction. I lost your video temporarily, but if you're hearing me and you come back on, I would give you the opportunity to say hello and good morning, good afternoon to viewers and listeners. Okay, so viewers and listeners, as I was saying, the Uganda story is such that it is currently the only country actually with the implementation or the transaction tax is currently implemented. Then we move on to Congo. Congo introduced the same thing, but one thing we realize in the issue of Congo is that theirs was a little haphazard. It wasn't known who is to pay the tax, who is to do the collection, because there are various institutions in Congo that does tax levy, that are able to just impose tax on citizens. And so there was that confusion when they roll out their policy statement on this particular issue. So as far as they are concerned, as of today, they scrapped it because they didn't scrap it per se. It was just that nobody is actually complying with it because nobody knows who's supposed to be paying the transaction tax, whether it's going to be the mobile money platforms or whether it's going to be the users or the recipients of funds, the users of funds. Just to kind of go back to Uganda quickly, when Uganda revised this after the protests and demonstrations, what they did was that they specifically assign the tax only to mobile money withdrawals. So it's not like when you do a transaction, you will be taxed. The taxation is limited to just the withdrawals. Now, of course, we are saying Congo did not see this materialize. It's still a law on the book, but nobody knows who collects the money or who's to pay the money, and therefore there is that confusion. We've transitioned to our neighboring country, Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire has tried exactly the same thing. Cote d'Ivoire actually introduced, I think, 0.5% transaction tax on mobile money. And what they realized was, again, the same agitation we are seeing in our country, where people are demonstrating, registering their frustration over the transaction or the proposal. And Cote d'Ivoire decided, okay, all right, somebody's giving me my quick tips here on how my keys are not properly set, and therefore I'm having the green the green screen show. Mostly it's my lighting. I think I need to properly configure the lights well. But once my guests come in and they start talking, I'll have some breathing room to get up and I do some adjustment to the lighting. But that is Nana 024. Nana 024, thanks for that quick interjection. Paul, are you with me still? If you are, say something so I can hear you. I lost your picture quickly. All right. So in a case of Cote d'Ivoire, what actually ended up happening was they proposed a 0.5% transaction tax on mobile money. And, they faced agitation. People complained. Demonstrations occurred. And so Cote d'Ivoire decided to scrap the transaction tax altogether, but instead they decided to increase or impose a 7.5% taxes on the charges that this mobile money companies would have charged you, or whatever charges they were putting on your transaction. When you transfer money, the mobile companies, of course, take a little charge, or they do a service charge. That service charge, or whatever they term it in Cote d'Ivoire, was now going to be charged 7.5%. And what ended up happening was that the telcos, or the mobile money platforms, were transferring these charges back to the consumers. And what that means is that if you're a consumer, either you are paying it as a direct transaction charge, which we are proposing in Ghana for 1.75, or could it be that we transition that, or we move that money, or we move that charge, or that levy, or that tax handle to the telcos, or increase, the taxes we already have on the telcos. Now, so of course, when the telcos started transferring those charges to the users, or the users of mobile money in Cote d'Ivoire, what ended up happening in Cote d'Ivoire was that the government went back and, forced the telcos to eat, those funds up. They forced the telcos to not transfer the 7.5% that they were being charged to the consumer. And so Cote d'Ivoire has a version that is now kind of the same as we are proposing, but perhaps is the version that we may need to go to. These will be questions that I pose to my viewers and listeners when they come on to the show. But if you are watching, please share the link so that others can join us, and so that this conversation can be one that you participate in. Of course, we are happy to be here every week and bring you good information, well-studied information. On this program, what we try to do is to think about the issues together. We don't want to just come and spoon feed. We want you to participate. So if you have comments on the things that I'm talking about, if you know better, if you know other countries that have implemented the E-levy, please put in the comment section what the lessons are and what we can learn from that as a country in implementing our own version. Now, should we even be implementing this at all? Because, of course, when you are enacting a tax policy, you want to do what we call incident analysis to see what the impact of that tax will have. What are the consequences of implementing such a tax policy? Have we done all those thoroughly? Are the lessons learned from Africa incorporated in our version? And I can say, yes, some of those lessons I have seen incorporated in our version, because one of the things that you saw was that we knew this tax was disproportionately impacting. Welcome to the show again, Paul. If you can hear me, say something so we know your sound is perfect. I see you on the road, Paul. How's everything going? Yes, where are you on the way to? Can we?
Yes, Alfred, I'm doing very good. I'm very grateful to be on the show today. I'll be off the road in the next 5 to 10 minutes, but okay. I'm going to give my opening remarks, and then I'll still be listening to you whilst I settle down and then log on my computer. Okay. I'm grateful to be here. And I hope and I believe my brother Ifa, is he on the show? You are on mute. I can't hear you.
Ifa will be joining us shortly.
Okay. We are going to look into the budget. And I believe you. We are going to speak to facts today. We're going to see how this super incompetent government has, destroyed this country of ours. Kwame Nkrumah Ghana is retrogressing under these incompetent people, and they keep on throwing dust into the eyes of the good people of Ghana. And we started raising the red flag since 2017, and they keep on lying. Now the lies has catch up to them. They cannot get out of the holes, and we are going to expose them this afternoon further, like we did last week. So this is my opening remark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for joining the show. Being the first to join it, even though you're on the road, that demonstrates your commitment to the show. We really appreciate it. We are waiting for the rest of the team to join in person of Afar, Daniel, and Dr. Ofori.
I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised if any of them will not join, because they know the hit start to come on them today. They know that I'm ready for them, so I will not be surprised if any of them will not join. But please, if you can call if I behind a closed door and tell him that I'm waiting for him. He should not run away from me. I'm waiting for him.
Definitely, I will reach out to FI and pass that information to him. Thank you so much. So, as I was saying, I was giving examples of areas or countries that have done what we are trying to do, just to see, are there lessons that we could have learned? Are there things that we can incorporate in ours? And I've seen situations where one of the problems that we were going to face with this thing is, of course, that inclusivity, financial inclusivity that we said was a problem, because people in the rural areas who didn't have access to the banks, majority of the banks are located in the cities. If you go out of the cities, there are no banks facilities for people. But with the advent of mobile money, a lot of people are able to save money in their mobile wallets. A lot of people are able to pretty much do what a typical bank would have, help them do. In other words, be part of the financial system, be able to make payments instantaneously using mobile payments, things that they couldn't do before because they didn't even have access to banking. And we know that most of those people actually are small micro transaction or transactors, or whatever they pay us or whatever they transact. Usually, it's minimal. So basically, in order to capture those group of people, or in order to not overly burden them, because we are saying that, people with a lot of money have access to the banking system. So if they need to do a transfer, there are so many different ways they could do that without necessarily paying charges. Even if you look at the law, the way it is currently, or the proposals, it talks about when there is a bank transfer, but it doesn't talk about a bank transactions where you are using a check to pay somebody. Now, if I'm using a check to pay somebody and a cash to pay somebody, and I don't have to pay the same taxes that I have to pay when I'm using the mobile money to pay for a transaction, then there is an equity problem. There is a horizontal equity problem. So we're going to talk about that. I would like for my guests to, help me explore the issue of equity in taxation, horizontal and vertical equity in taxation. So if you're watching, please share the link so others can view on this show. We hope that every week that you come to watch us, that you end up learning something. So at the end of today, we're going to figure out what Paul DeSoso have learned, what I have learned. I will be able to share. I will be sharing that with you. And you please, in the comment section, tell us what you've learned after the show or close to the end of the show so that we can keep this conversation going. So as I was saying, so we've seen that, in order to kind of continue that inclusivity, that there is a threshold of a transaction that should be exempted from these taxes. And you could see that the government attempted to put something in the bill saying that if you do $100, 100 CD transaction a day, that you are exempted. But is that enough? So these are the questions we need to ask. Is that enough? Now, we know that the disadvantage of that is when the government increase that threshold to significantly, it is going to touch a point where, for instance, if it is only affecting $1,000 transaction, or say if you transact about $1,000 worth of transaction a day, you are the ones who get charged. In other words, the first $1,000 are exempted. What is going to happen is that volume of transaction or value of transaction can only be done with people who are wealthy or who have access to the banking system. And those people, once this tax was implemented in Uganda, those people went right out of the mobile money transfer platforms. They were not using them no more. So in this discussion, we're going to look at consequences, lessons learned from other countries, Cote d'Ivoire involved, Cote d'Ivoire, our neighbor, Malawi, as they implemented this, as they scrapped this, and Congo, where there's no direction as to who has to actually make this payment, and Uganda, where the tax is actually implemented and is currently ongoing. So those will be the things we look at in that segment of our discussion. The second segment of our discussion, we say GPRTU and a couple of other organizations went on demonstrations. Have they achieved the purpose for their demonstration? I know that Justice for Ghana, or the one that Bernard Mona is leading, according to him, is going to be a demonstration infinito, which means that there's no end time for this demonstration, that they were going to be occupying Parliament. So far, they were in Parliament on Friday. Skirmishes occurred. They were not allowed to go into the forecourt of the Parliament. Parliamentarians came outside, another on prayer in this case, and I think we've also seen Afenyo Markin came out trying to take a petition from them, but they made a claim to the fact that they wanted to visit the forecourt of Parliament to deliver their petition. That is not fair for the parliamentarians to block them outside of the People's House and refuse them entrance. And of course, I can understand from the parliamentarian standpoints too that there are all kinds of security implications, that they need to protect that area and safeguard our representatives. So how long are they going to be stuck in that demonstration? Have they gotten what they wanted? Has GPRTU gotten what they wanted? GPRTU put a couple of claims down. They wanted certain taxes like the SPT and some of the petroleum levies be reduced. Are those sustainable? Can we actually reduce those petroleum levies like the ESLA, like all the other ones that we've already sold bonds on? Can we practically reduce them? So those will be some of the things that we discussed today. And the final thing that I want us to talk about today is what we refer to as the Accra Initiative. If you recall, we had a program here where we talk about the G5 Sahel countries where there has been a lot of chaos. Islamic terrorist organizations like the Al-Qaeda in Africa has taken a hold in the Sahel countries, and they're destabilizing. When I'm talking about the Sahel country, I'm talking about Niger, Sudan, Burkina, Mali, all those countries up north of us, right? And so this terrorist has been destabilizing those areas, capturing gold mines that are not properly protected, taking them over, running over villages, killing people. Recently, an attack has just occurred a week ago where about 26 police officers were killed and 40 civilians, etc., etc. So what happened was that Burkina Faso and 4 of the southern countries to its or 4 of its southern neighbors. In this case, Togo, Benin, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire came together to form a security pact or a security sort of architecture or network to share intelligence and to conduct operations together. Some of these operations are yielding results where they are capturing some terrorists, guns, bomb making materials, etc. And the goal of this initiative, or what we call the Accra Initiative, which was started in 2017, is to ensure that the terrorist activities, the jihadist activities, do not spill over to the neighboring southern countries of Ghana, Togo, and Benin. They've just embarked on an operations between the 4 countries. There have been several operations so far. They call them a name, I think it's Kaolagu or so. They've had the first, second, third, and this current one was the 4th one, where a couple of insurgents were arrested. Materials were seized, etc., etc. And this is all in an attempt to prevent, Islamists from attacking countries like Togo, Benin, and Ghana. They've already attacked Cote d'Ivoire. They've already attacked sections of Benin. So as you can see, it's just about time before we get to see something like that in Ghana too. And so the government is doing everything possible to prevent that. There is mobilization in the military. You could see Ghana had done some recruitment to beef up the military. There's been deployment to the northern part of the country to shore up our border between Ghana and Burkina Faso. So these things we'll talk about today when I return with my guests. In the meantime, I have a couple of comments here. Regina is saying, good afternoon, Alfred. Good afternoon, Regina. And thanks for watching the show week by week. You're one of our strong supporters, and we really appreciate it. Please share the link so that others who can benefit from the show can also join and benefit. Edward is watching us. Dr. Edward Ofori is saying, Ghana agenda, it's on fire. We really appreciate that. Dr. Edward Ofori is the director of ACO Radio, and we appreciate him for all his support to the show week after week. Lifetime Legacy, we are waiting for you to join. I'm going to send you the link in the meantime. Feel free to join, and then let's have a discussion for today. So I do have Paul joining now. So Paul, thanks for the show. Thanks for joining. I've heard from Daniel. Daniel is outside today, so Daniel will not be able to join us. But we are joined by our Professor So at least it's gonna be interesting.
Dr. To is an MPP communicator, so please stop describing him as a neutral person. I beg you. He's an MPP communicator.
I don't know why you want to harass me every day like that.
Dr. To, but you are an MPP communicator. We all know you are an MPP communicator. You speak for the MPP.
I'm not a card-bearer member. I have never been a card-bearer member. So I prefer to be
okay. I withdraw my statement. As a gentleman as I am, Dr. To, welcome on the show.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. To, welcome to the show. I think I was able to fix my chroma key issue. It is because I have to just click that I have green screen. It's amazing how many things you forget, even though we do it every day. All right, so thanks for guiding me through this, Dr. Edward Ofori, who's ACO Radio director. Is in the background helping me, get my picture correct. So, Ato, welcome to the show. Last week we missed you. My understanding is, of course, you do the night shift, so you were caught up sleeping a little bit.
Yes.
So
for missing last week's show. I just
we really were expecting your opinion on some of the things, but I think we'll be able to gather all that today since you're here with us, and we really appreciate that. So the topics I've tabled for discussions are that one, there are use cases which, of course, I think I've shared that in the background. I don't know if you had an opportunity to read through it. Well, we found that Uganda, Malawi, Cote d'Ivoire, and Congo have done a version of what we are trying to do in Ghana in terms of E-levy. Now, what I wanted us to do is to look at some of the inequalities that are introduced by imposing taxes such as this? Because, of course, we know that for taxes to be introduced, that they really have to do incidence analysis to see how it impacts various sections of the population. So we are curious as to whether that one was, what was done for this particular one. But beyond that, whether we should actually continue with the E-levy or scrap it. And even if we are going to scrap it, that instability, that inconsistency that we introduce into the system as a result of proposing today that we are going to do A and then we are not going to do it, kind of makes people lose trust in the system. Is that helpful for us? And so should we say, because we don't want to have this forth and back proposing and taking it down, etc., so that people are encouraged or people are able to trust the consistency within the system. So the consistency, inequality, and all the impact this tax would have on the people is where I really want to focus this discussion today. So that's topic number one. Then I want us to talk about GPRTU and a couple of other demonstrations that are ongoing to see if in fact they're realizing the reasons they are demonstrating, or not. Especially in the case of the GPRTU, we saw a certain decrease in petroleum prices occasioned by oil. But is that sustainable? Was that what they actually went into the demonstration for? And whether that demonstration is over or is something we are going to see again, because it has several devastating consequences for the people, especially of the big cities. Accra, in this case, people were stranded walking about because, the GPRTU and the private even taxi operators were not working or operating, and that caused a lot of problems. So let me start with you, Ato, since you have not been with us last week. What is your view on the E-levy? We know Congo, when they introduced it, they came out with 1%, and then people agitated and they have to go and reduce it to 0.5. All the countries that have introduced this, all of them are with the IMF through some IMF program that is, using one of the conditionalities being that your, tax to GDP is so low, and therefore you have to increase that as part of being part of the IMF program. We are not in an IMF program. And we've also noted that all the countries that introduced it, none of them actually ventured above 1%. But Ghana actually, proposed 1.75%. So the transaction fees is a honeypot. It's one of those revenue handles that is very appealing to all governments, especially within the sub-Saharan Africa. Our tax to GDP ratio in the sub-Saharan Africa is about 15.7%. In advanced countries, about 24 to 25%. In Ghana, we have about 12.4% of tax to GDP. We are lagging even below the sub-Saharan Africa standard. We need to increase our tax to revenue. That is no-brainer. Now, how do we do that? And most governments are using the lazy approach of course, bringing the informal sector into the fold of the tax base or into the tax base by, pushing the transaction, because they believe that, of course, we know that the economy is about 60% to 80% informal, and that informal sector is responsible for about 70% of the employment. So there's a huge amount of transactions going there. It used to be that people would make calls to the United States or to other neighboring countries using the telcos and paying, and those, telecommunication transactions per se, or telecommunication calls, attracted taxes to the government. But since the advent of things like WhatsApp, telecommunication calls or calls to even overseas has significantly reduced. So the government is losing a lot of revenue. And in order to plug those holes, they believe that, taxing transactions like mobile money is a way to go. What is your view on this, and where do you think we go, considering all the examples that we've seen with our neighboring countries? And if you're interested, I could be giving you more examples of what happened in Cote d'Ivoire, what happened in Malawi, etc.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I'd like to send greetings to your cherished viewers and listeners across the world. And greetings to Paul, although he didn't allow me to even say hi to him before he started heckling and harassing me, as always. So before I start, I mean, I am actually very surprised that the government cancelled the toll levy.
Right.
Although I don't have any data on how much they were making from the toll levy, I don't know who does that. Who cancels one kind of revenue making avenue and then brings a new one.
Yeah.
And you can sense the pushback that this government is getting. I heard you compare that of Cote d'Ivoire, where telcos try to make consumers pay for all these things, and it didn't work out, and then they have to push back all the taxes on the telcos. I think that may be the best way to go. But then you realize that in Ghana, look at how we did the Vodafone or that deal. It appears that we're giving all these companies tax breaks. And right now, like I agree with you, we have said this in the past that our economy is struggling. And Baumia promised that we're going to move from taxation to production. And here we are. I mean, 1.7%. And I was telling a friend of mine that it appears this kind of tax is bogus tax. It appears that those of us in the diaspora, we are the ones sending money home. We have easy ways to send money home. So the plan is to target us. First of all, we are paying so much money in duties at the port. We send money home. We send stuff home. We pay so much. Right now we have this amount. I mean, like I said, I don't know. It appears all of a sudden, if we don't pay this e-tax, we can't even do it in Ghana. Like everything the government's talking about, like they say, we can get fertilizers. Like the economy will struggle. Alfred, do you by chance know how much we will be collecting in a year from this E-levy? I have not had the information. Do you know how much?
Together, this year we were targeting about 7 billion almost.
And do you know how much we're making from the toll levies?
The toll levy was only about 72 million. So in comparatively, the toll levy is like a drop in the bucket when it comes to what we intend to gain from the E-levy. So 72 million.
But one would think that you keep the toll levy and maybe reduce the amount you're taking from. I know we're supposed to pay tax, but then you keep the toll levy and then reduce the percentage of this E-levy. But that's not what this government has done. It's very disappointing. And like I said, Baumia is struggling to make this economy work. And we agree that, like you said, all the data on how the economy is doing is really bad. So they have to find a way to go about it. But going 1.75, like you said, in sub-Saharan Africa, everyone is paying 1%. So you would think that this government will at least find ways to make this economy work. Right now, we have all this. We have petrol prices high. We have everything is in the hardships in Ghana. It's becoming unbearable. So to add this to consumers, I don't know how they'll be able to achieve that. So my point is that the government would have to find means to collect tax from the other people, and that would include Baumia's idea of digitalization. That I know Paul would disagree with me, but that idea of putting 1.75% on consumers is not the best way to go. And like you said, in other places in Africa, they are either 1% or below. So going forward, this government will have to come up with newer ideas, better ideas about, because Ghanaians have not accepted this as what we think we can pay.
Right.
Last point, going forward. I don't know what the NDC is discussing about this. It's like today they wake up, they say, 1% is maybe okay. Tomorrow they wake up, they say no. So it's like, what does the NDC want us to do? They agree that we are supposed to take taxes. So they should come up clear and discuss this, because it cannot be Haruna coming up one day and saying, okay, I thought about this and I feel this is better. But then the next day we have somebody saying, I spoke to Haruna and Haruna says that right now is nothing.
It does appear that the NDC, and of course, this has been a challenge for a very long time, right? All the governments, whether NDC or NPP, pretty much wants to find ways to bring in additional revenue and mobile monetization has been on that chopping block for a long time. It appears the MPP has the balls to do it, and the NDC is signaling that, oh, by the way, just make it 1%. You know, that's what Haruna is saying. Just make it 1%. Who would have agreed to 1%, right? So clearly, both political parties are in on this. It's a matter of what percentage do they want to charge, right? And essentially,
I agree with you. I agree with you. But also, you realize that telecommunication companies have turned from providing consumers better quality service into money-making business.
Right.
I mean, you call somebody in Ghana so many times you're not unable to reach them. But if you send money to them, it goes right away. It's like, what are we doing as a country to make sure these people are accountable to us? Right. Like all of a sudden, mobile money has become the priority. And right now, if you even want to make phone calls, it's so expensive in Ghana. And if you go to the UK, I don't think Vodafone subscribers pay as much as we pay in Ghana. But the government has allowed them to just do whatever they want, and right now they're into the mobile money business. And like I said, you try and send money to Ghana right now, it would never tell you that the person you're trying to send money is unavailable. Try to make a phone call. You're giving these people a leeway for a very long time, and now it's coming back to bite us.
Right. Yeah. So I know Lifetime Legacy in the comment section is saying that the NDC's position is that no Momo tax this time. Yes, no Momo tax this time, but like we said, it is going to happen at some point, right?
Yes, yeah.
It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but Momo tax is going to be a reality in Ghana, and we have to kind of start thinking about, how this will be done, whether it should be something levied or there should be an increase in the charge that is already, because the telcos take a transaction fee already. They charge a transaction fee whenever you send money or whenever you do a Momo transaction, and that transaction fee, which is revenue to them, and the government taxes that revenue. So the question is, should the government increase that, just like they're doing in Cote d'Ivoire? And if the government increase that, then we want that next step of the government asking the telcos not to transfer that to us, so that it become a cost to the telcos. Now, it would reduce the efficiency with the telcos, because then they would have to think about certain investments that they want to make in the country to expand, and those investments will now have to be placed on the back end. And because part of their money they were, earmarking for those things, would then have to go to pay government taxes. So we can look at, lessons from the various countries, like I'm saying, to see how Ghana would, approach this. And you are like you also admitted to that the best perhaps way going forward would be the Cote d'Ivoire model, which it's a way of taxing transactions, but not directly. I have a message. I'm going to take that one quickly and see if I can bring Paul on for the same thing. So Isaac Don Willis says, build more cocoa processing factories to bring in the needed revenue. What happened to the factory started by Kufo at Akwape Mampom? Okay, that's a good one. So he's saying, that Baomia agenda of production versus taxation should be the way we go. We should build more cocoa processing factories. And then he's asking about the one started by Kufo. And then he also says, scrap the Momo tax. Momo tax is lazy man's approach to taxation. Yep. I think, and just to kind of stretch that point a little bit too, Dr. Ato, Paul, if you're with us, let me know so we can I can bring you into. But Dr. Ato, if you look at, because he's saying scrap it all together, right? If you look at the Momo tax,
Alfred.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here, and where I am, it's very noisy, so I have to step out and then move on back on my phone. Okay. So I'm going to make my quick intervention and submission, and then maybe we'll take it from there.
Okay, you can come in and make an intervention. So I wanted to talk about, I was going to start stretching what Isaac said here about abolishing the tax altogether. But the way I wanted to position it is, if you look at the digitization agenda that we are embarking on, You need a readily available way of transacting business, because we're trying to bring all these informal sector activities to the formal sector. All the shoe-shine persons that are able to receive money using Momo, we want to bring them to the formal sector. And the one readily available way to surely do so is how easily they are able to make payments for those transactions that perhaps are taxable transactions that we should find a way to tax. But, imposing tax on that platform currently kind of hinder our effort to increase inclusivity and broaden the base, so that the consequence of what we are trying to do is actually going to be way more negative than the benefit we will derive from it. What do you think about that, Paul?
Well, do you hear me, please?
Yeah, I hear you clearly.
Okay, so well, as I stated last week on the show, okay, the 1.75 electronic levy that was introduced in this budget was the laziest man approach ever to tax the people.
Right.
Why am I saying so? Look, we are saying that Ghana is heading to economic crunch, okay? Due to the way they've mismanaged the economy since they took over.
Right.
It's been a fact, and it's been a fact too, that since from 2017, 2018, we've been saying that the finance minister and the Nanado government have been cooking the books with figures, whereby they supply us with a different figures, and when they go to the IMF, they give IMF a different figure.
Okay.
Now, the issue at stake is, how come economy, which Dr. Baumia touted in 2019, 2020, that is the best economy in the whole of West Africa, in the whole of Africa, actually, should be in this crisis? Mr. Muzo, whether they like it or not, okay, this electronic tax that they are trying to impose is the laziest man approach ever. Now, let's look at the figures. This E-levy that they are trying to introduce, according to the finance minister's own budget statement, they are going to recoup 6.9 billion Ghana cedi if they introduce this tax.
Right.
And per the document that, or per the budget statement, when you look at is it Appendix AB, they stated that the mechanism by which they are going to collect these taxes is going to cost the taxpayer 421 million Ghana cedi. Do the calculation. Already, the 6.9 billion that they are expecting to get from these taxes, 421 million is out of it.
Right.
Now, the question I have over here is number one.
I thought it was 240.
Why are they going to pay another company to be taking these taxes for the government of Ghana, even if we agree to it?
I think Dr. Ato was trying to ask a question. Dr. Ato, we didn't hear what you were saying. What did you say?
I thought that amount was 240, not 420.
Oh, so okay, 240. Thank you. 242 million. It's 242, right?
Yeah,
so.
242.
Yes, 242 million. Yes, 242 million. Yes.
Right.
The question I have over here is, why are they going to get a company to do nothing, and that company will be taking home 242 million Ghana cedi? What's GVG, this company that we have raised a lot of issue about, is there to do this job? What is the difficulty about collecting these taxes? Assuming we even agree that it should go in, which I know is only going to pass, because we in the minority are saying that they should review that electronic taxes, because the way they want to implement it is not the best way. It's the shortest and the laziest man approach ever. But I'm saying, assuming, look, this electronic tax will be collected by the mobile company, the telcos. And the question is, as we speak, NCA, National Communication Authority, okay, is able to monitor GVG, who monitor all the calls, all the transactions that these communication companies do. So why are you going to pay another company to come and monitor what? That's the first thing which is making this deal a very shady deal. Number two, they are saying that they are going to recoup 6.9 billion at the end of the process. But Mr. Muzu, the question lies here. We in the minority is saying, or we are saying that, look, since this government took over from the affairs of this country, the tax irregularities, okay? If we say tax irregularities or revenue irregularities, we are trying to say that since they took over, I mean, the loopholes whereby people try to take money that does not belong to them, that does not belong to them, and then try to be smart on the government, has risen up over 1,000%. At the time the NDC was handing over, it's around 700 and something million. As we speak today, we are having at the Auditor's General Report, we had 12.84 billion Ghana cedis.
Right.
If you are looking for 6.9 billion, and you are allowing people to, beat the system, you are allowing people to, manipulate the system, and all this money is going to waste. Why can't you tighten the system rather to reduce this excessive waste, to cut the 12.84 billion Ghana cedi that is going waste, and bring it down? Why can't you do that to get the money you want over there?
Right.
Upon imposing taxes upon the common Ghanaian, you are coming to introduce another 1.75 odd electronic tax. This is unacceptable. I heard Dr. Atu was talking about, and the NDC, they don't know the stand of the NDC stand is that until we sit on the table and we all come into an agreement, there is nothing like E-levy.
What is that? What is the agreement? What is the agreement?
Yeah,
we are not the agreement with them.
What is the NDC's what is the NDC proposing? What are you guys bringing to the table? What do you guys want to see done?
In the first place, Alfred and Dr. Ato, we will be able to come on the table if they are ready to sit on the table for us to look into the deal. As we speak, our members of parliament have made it clear, categorically clear, that there is nothing on such a table about we agreeing on any percentage. We've not agreed on any percentage because as or where we stand as we speak, that budget that they claim they've passed has been thrown away. We've not finished that. We've not caught that bridge yet. You are coming here to tell us that there is, the Minister of Finance has come with, consensus that he's going to change some documents in the budget. Then that is a new budget you are presenting. So therefore, then let's go back and start the process again. So as we speak, the minority has no stand, and Haruna is not contradicting the other members of parliament. We are speaking with a one voice. We are saying that there is no way we'll allow this electronic levy to pass. Even at all, if we are going to allow it to pass, not now. They should go back and block the revenue leakages. The 12.84 billion that we are losing or we lost in 2020, we should block it and make sure that we go after those people, whether they are NDC, MPP, CPP, whoever they are. We should go after them and get all those monies back to the state. And they can get the 7 billion that they are looking for. And you know what? When you look into the budget also, these people are very deceptive. They throw dust into our eyes. According to them, they are going to raise 1 billion out of that 6.9 billion to support youth entrepreneurship. But when you go into the same budget, okay, appendix page 22233, they stated that the youth entrepreneurship, this is the amount they are going to invest into it. Let me give you the right number. I don't want Dr. Atu to go to me again. 385 million, 385 million is the money they've allocated in the budget. But the minister stated that they are going to give them 1 billion. And when the minister's attention was drawn, he said the rest of the 600 and something million will be sourced from the business community. How sure are you that those money you can get them from the business community? Okay. You see, this budget is full of contradiction, mistakes, inconsistencies. And even if you add all the figures over there, there's a big loophole in this budget. And if you can permit me, I will give you or submit it to you right now. Look, as we speak, okay, we are talking about revenues that the Ghana country is generating. Let's also put it on record that when you go, or these people will tell you that it's because of COVID, that is why they are running in a high deficit. It is not true.
Right.
Dr. To, that is not true. Look, when you look at the deficit report for Africa, okay, as we speak, okay, as 2018, Ghana's deficit was minus 6.8, the highest on the continent. 2019, it shoot to minus 7.2. 2020, it shoot to 15.7, minus 15.7. So for them to be blaming COVID, that is an outlier. It is not true. Right.
Yeah, I want us to. I know the deficit is a problem, and it's one of the factors that, of course, is motivating tax handles like this. Because, of course, we have to find domestic resources. By the way,
Alfred, let me land over here. Let me do this quick intervention.
Okay.
According to the own minister's budget, also, okay. They are saying that the total revenue that they are expecting to collect for the 2022 year is 500 billion, 516 million, 846,109.
Yeah. Okay. We've never done that number before.
Yeah. So you see how crazy these people are? And out of this 100 million, when you look at compensation, okay, compensation alone, okay, it's going to take 35 billion 814,237 million 237,277 Ghana cedis.
Right.
Interest rate and amortization is going to cost us 45 billion 390 million.
We know those challenges, right?
You see, when you talk about the statutory payment, let me finish. 31 billion. When you add all these things, Mr. Alfred, we are hitting around 113 billion Ghana cedi. And you say you're going to rate a revenue of 100 million. Already you are making a loss of 12 billion deficit already.
Well, we know even the budget tells you the expenditure is going to be more than our expenditure is about 115 billions, and we are bringing in 100. Therefore, we of course know we are creating a gap, even in the budget clearly stated, and therefore we needed additional funding. And we said we are going to go for $750 million in loan in one tranche, and then we reserve the right to do a second tranche in the future. Welcome to the show, Alpha. But what I wanted to say...
Can I respond to what Paul said in a second, please?
Okay, take a quick second and respond to that, and then we go on.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Paul said it was a lazy man's approach, just by taxing Momo. But like you said,
right.
You said in Sub-Saharan Africa, we've seen this. But I want to remind Paul that in this country we had a finance minister who taxed condoms. Does Paul remember all those things?
Right.
Setepe tax condoms.
Dr. Ato, if you care to know,
do you remember that? I'm just saying that.
I've not said I don't remember it. I am saying
if you remember, that's fine. Let me learn.
If you care to know, condoms have been increased by 15%.
Let me land. The second point and last point that I want to say is that this is a proposed budget.
Right.
So if I tell you that I'm going to spend X amount of money, because I think I probably will be making this money elsewhere using the e-tax. I think it's fair to say that we can, because there's nowhere in Ghana where we propose the amount of money we're going to spend that it has been accurate. It may be close. So it's only a proposed budget. You cannot just say that just because.
Usually we are close enough to that by the end of the year.
Yes, but I'm saying that the government
we overspent the expenditure portion, or we spend more than we say we are going to spend
Yes.
But when it comes to revenue, we under-generate.
Yes.
which has been the case all over the years. But I wanted to say that on the back of this, the president has been.
Alfred, I think it's fair for Alfred.
Yeah,
I think it's fair for me to rebuttal back to Dr.
Yeah, let me preface that first. Okay. On the back of this, the president has been given or be crowned the African of the Year. And the reason he was crowned for being an African of the Year is his approach to reliance on resources apparently domestically generated, which I'm confused when it comes to that, right? Yes, praising our president for pushing the initiative for self-reliance. And, you know, here we are. That self-reliance requires us to generate a lot of domestic revenue. We know that we've moved out of the poverty. We are now a middle income. So the donations are not coming in as they used to. We want to rely on income generated domestically. Part of that is finding ways to actually increase our revenue. If you look at as compared to the OECD countries, right, in terms of PIT, which is the personal income tax, and CIT, which is corporate income tax. For instance, for us, PIT represents 16.3% of all taxes collected. For CIT, which is the corporate income tax, is about 14.6%. When you go to the advanced countries, 24.2% is their PIT. And then, which means their personal income taxes is, 24.2%. 8.9% comes from their, corporate income tax. What it means is that they have a lot of workers in their tax nets. In Ghana, we also do have a lot of workers, but those workers happen to fall outside of the formal sector. So that the small number in the formal sector, we are overtaxing them. If you look at the expression, even that if you ask the teacher right now, or you ask workers in Ghana now, they'll tell you that they are overtaxed. They are the only ones burdening the burden of development in the country. That there are so many people in the informal sector that are now paying their fair share of the development cost. What do you say to that as your response?
Well, Mr. Muzu,
I thought it's my turn.
He's just going to do a quick rebuttal for two minutes, and then I'll bring you in for 5 minutes.
Yes. So, Mr. Muzu, before we go on, look, let Dr. Atu understand that as we speak, condom has been, or from 2020, when you're going to buy condom, okay, it will be increased by 15%. So, if he's sitting there and he's saying that the NDC put taxes on condom, this super incompetent government has even increased it more by 15%, going to 2022, 1st January 2022. When you are going to buy a condom, if it's costing you two cedis, you're going to add 15% on the 2 cedis. So if you care to know, that's number one. Number two, look, so that award you are talking about is still there. Yeah. The award you are talking about is a fake award. It has turned out that the president was never awarded. That institution is a fake institution. So for the president just to divert attention,
this same institution awarded the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame. Documents have come out. We've done a lot of checks, and it is showing that it's fake. They bought it. So this president, anytime he sees that the country is agitating against the things he's doing, he tried to introduce something to look good. I am saying that I am not going to even waste my time to speak about this fake award because it is not true. He bought it. He went and paid money. Gabi and Co went and pay money for this thing to be created as if he's been given an award. The award is not true. And if I know, Dr. Atu knows, they should not come and sit here and try to throw dust into the eyes of the listeners. It's a fake award. I'm not going to waste my time on it. From, they bought it, it's fake and all that, because we don't have any proof to that. That is your opinion.
Mr. Amuzu, I can send a document. There is document circulating. People have called the institution. The institution is saying that they know nothing about that. You understand? A lot of research is going on.
Africa is saying they know nothing about the award.
Yes.
Then how come we have accumulate the bank?
This is Photoshop. This is Photoshop. Icon. Did you look at the background of those two pictures? Look at the backgrounds. This is Photoshop.
But we see the president even if you go to Joy Online right now, the president actually been giving the award himself, like receiving the plaque.
Mr. Amuzu, I said this is fake. They faked it just to divert attention. That's all they are doing.
Yeah, that's a strong allegation.
I'm not going to waste my time to talk about it.
I don't know about that, but we'll look into it. Okay, so on the issue of the fact that we don't have a lot of taxpayers within our personal income tax brackets. The businesses we have in the country are burdening most of the shares. If you look at business tax in Ghana, you will cry for them. The businesses, like for instance, the telcos are crying. Even if you look at the case studies we've mentioned, Uganda, Malawi, with the exception of Malawi, but Uganda, Congo, Ivory Coast, MTN is, one of the mobile network operators in all those countries. MTN is in each of those countries. They are either partnering with Airtel in the country or with another. I think there's Orange or so is a new company, another company they have in Malawi partnering with Airtel. So there's either Airtel or MTN. So I'm wondering, why is Airtel not sharing lessons learned from all these other countries with the government of Ghana? Because it feels like the government of Ghana is repeating the mistakes that have been made in Uganda. It's repeating the mistakes that have been made in Ivory Coast. And they could have learned those lessons and introduce these things in a better way that avoid those mistakes. Why do you think that MTN is not sharing this lessons learned for us to use?
Because this government is known to be a 419 government. They never listen or take advice. They are always ready to throw dust into the eyes of the people. And I am saying on this show this afternoon that, look, the things they told us in opposition, the way they bragged when they were in opposition, now they said they have the men. They got themselves into government. They noticed that it's not easy. It's different being in opposition and different being in government.
All right.
And now, instead of them coming down to seek support and seek advice from the opposition and then the private sector and the CSOs, they are feeling very reluctant. And they are still having the same people committing the same mistakes over there. As you said, what stops them from going to all these countries to learn from them, to learn the lessons from them? They just want to do what they want to do. Nanado is a president who is meant to be a president. That is the sort of person he is. At the time that we are in crisis, he is renting a $14,000 jet an hour and go and sleep in an $18,000 luxurious hotel in Atlanta just last week. And you are expecting your people to tighten their belt? I am saying this government is the most incompetent government, the most, visionless government we've ever had. They would not be able to come down to the level to ask for help because they think they know, but they are a bunch of useless people who don't know anything, and they are going to crunch the economy down until the economy crash. That's not going to happen. I wish it doesn't crash because we are coming back into government in 2025, January 7th, and we hope they will not crash the economy before we get there. Thank you.
Okay. So there's been so many lessons learned. We hope those would have been incorporated. We know that, for instance, when you charge a tax, that requires two different people who are transacting the same business, but one pays a different amount than the other. That introduces a horizontal inequity. What that means is that if you and I make $50, we should pay the same amount of taxes on it, taking into consideration all the other differentials that may be between us, whether I'm a disabled person or not, etc. That is recognized by the tax law. But this particular tax seems to violate that inequity or the equity thing that we are discussing. Because if I were to be, paying with a check or cash, I don't have to pay 1.75% on any transaction. It introduces inequity, and somebody should be in court for this. Why do you think the opposition is not going to court, but doing the regular judge thing?
Yeah, thank you very much, Alfred, and thanks to greetings to Ato and Paul. You see, we have to be honest with ourselves, and sometimes I'm forced to do this because if we're going to go to the normal politics and you this, you that, we're not going to go anywhere. Right. I don't think they did not take into consideration all that you're talking about. They did take into consideration. What specifically went into it, I cannot say it right. Here is my thinking. So budget, just as Dr. Ato said, they are proposals, right? So when the budget comes, what I am expecting to see or hear from the opposition was an alternative. Uh-huh. But we don't even know what they are. You see, Paul is talking about help. What help? What has the opposition offered so far apart from a no approach to the issue, right?
Well, the opposition you said you bring it in concession, but you haven't brought the concession. They don't know what you're revising and what you're not revising, so they don't know what to come to the table. You have to. They told you initially that certain specific things like provide for Kitasi defense. You say you're going to do that. They ask you for changing, the language you had incorporated in the budget about the ECA deal. You say, sure, you're going to fix that. They say,
yes, and
Ajapa should be removed. You say, I don't know, what was the position on Ajapa? No, or we are removing it. So those things that you're claiming you have as concessions, you haven't really put them on the table yet for them to come back with a different position.
But that's not true. So they've put all those things at the committee level to be discussed and then come to an agreement on that. Now, so if the government has proposed 1.75, right? If you say no, what is it that you are proposing? What is it that you think as opposition that is good for us, right? Now, we've been hearing conflicting, whatever. The minority that came to tell us one thing, and then later on they said no, that is not representing their position, and that they are opposed to the E-levy, blah 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 blah, and all that kind of stuff, right? I have not heard the government not saying they wouldn't do anything about the Kitasi defense war, the Ajapa. As for withdrawing the Ajapa, the government said it will not withdraw it. It wants, inputs into what specifically ACA, they made some whatever. I mean, Okujeto listed this on his page and stuff like that. So what is the percentage the opposition is proposing? For what I heard, it's a no approach. A no approach is not an option at this point in time. Right, we can learn all the lessons and push it in there, but I haven't heard your position.
No, not an option, because the no's seem to have it right from even if you look at the report that we all read from the GSMA, which is the professional association for the telcos. They thought, when you are digitizing and revolutionizing your economy in order to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution, that accessibility of payments and ease of payment is very key for all digital. Yeah. So
the telcos are already charging 1%. So what makes them think that the government cannot charge a certain percentage? What makes them think so?
Yeah, the telcos are charging 1%, but and
the telcos don't even have a threshold. You see, government is charging 1% from 101 upwards daily, right? But the telcos don't even have a threshold. So what advice is the telcos giving us? You see, and then that is one thing. The second thing is for us, looking like you quoted, right? For us to have a decreasing borrowing power as we seek self-reliance, okay? It should have a decreasing borrowing availability and all these kind of stuff. So if we say no, and then you are also demanding that it's going to be an additional money, why should we go pick this money from the opposition? So all these things don't really add up when you hear some of these things. It is like some of them are talking just because they just feel like they should oppose it. The Tokos are making all these things because they think that somehow their revenues are going to reduce because maybe there will be that pushback of, people trying to do it the other way, which we all have envisaged. But we will see. You see, all these things are part of the whole thing. So for you to, and I've always been saying, see, the opposition will say blah, 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 blah. But what is your option? What would you have done? And we've seen this in the past. You oppose, you get in there and you increase it, right? So there is a need for us to have that honest conversation of, maybe I would have gone for 0.5. Maybe I would have gone for 1%. But we don't know what they're proposing, and I'm now hearing that the good advice. Which good advice have you heard, Alfred? Have you heard the good advice from the opposition apart from we won't accept?
Well, the we won't accept is a good advice, right? Because the benefits that would be derived from not putting that tax in place, which is the increasing effect of people transacting business, enabling digital growth in our economy, it's gonna outweigh the inconvenience of, first of all, asking the telcos to collect this money on your behalf, because they would have to do the collection on your behalf. Then the second inconvenience of people who would get out of the payment platform, because if you look at what happened in Uganda, the poorest of the people actually just got out of the mobile money transaction completely, because what you see is, matter of fact, the people who have money, who have access to banking already, they completely got out of the mobile money transactions, leaving only the poorest of the poor who have to burden that, or who have to burden that taxes. So what you see is you are causing a lot of inconvenience, not only to the government itself, who have to now find ways to actually monitor this, collect and account for this, but you're also inconveniencing the telcos, you're inconveniencing the citizens who now have to resort to cash if they want to avoid these things. There are donor agencies that work with refugees, that work with several different organizations. And what is happening is that whenever you ask somebody to send you money, they're asking you to add that additional 1.75%. That was what was realized in countries like Uganda. If you do a transaction with somebody, they tell you that if you're going to pay with mobile money, you have to add the additional taxes that they would have to burden. So that is so much inconvenience and inefficiencies you're introducing into the system as a government who's trying to grow an economy. It doesn't work like that. You should be facilitating businesses rather than crippling them with the result from places like Uganda and Congo also shows that majority of the agents actually left completely. And some of these agents, that is their employment. We have about 20,000 registered agents in Uganda who completely left that space because it was no longer profitable for them. And we are the same people who are crying about using this levy to support employment. In other words, the levy is going to kill employment. It's going to, take people who are now agents out of employment. So what we are saying is it's even a better option, or it's even a better, that's what we mean by it's a better proposal to actually just, pull out of it. Organizations reputable who are in the industry, even in Uganda, the telcos, MTN and Co, supported the pulling out of that taxes. And I'm sure they are in Ghana as well, but they are just silenced because, of course, we know what is happening in Ghana now.
Yeah, thank you. That is a good thing to be taken into consideration. But it is not a case of once you said it, yours has to be taken and the other one put on the side. All have been factored. That is why, when it comes to Ghana, there are so many exemptions in our collection, in our collection bracket. Remittances, agents won't be taxed. There's a list of it. And as we go along, there are so many things that have been taken out. And so we are doing something a bit different from what used to pertain in those countries. And until we put it into use, we are going to talk, and then we will know what will actually be on the ground. And we've also done a good job in Ghana of, we roll it out and see what is in there, and then we can take some out, or the challenges that come, we can come back to the table and deal with that. So,
but that kind of adds uncertainty to the system, and uncertainty is not good for a tax regime. People need tax regimes need to be predictable, so we know what taxes I'm paying at businesses. But when taxes change today and tomorrow, I don't trust the system. It breeds a lot of underground.
So Amuzu, the truth of the matter is that the Ghanaian taxpayer has been honest, has been supportive of the system. So all these things, yes, overburden, yes. But the other aspect, I will not really buy them. So what we need to do as a country is to widen it, which is one of the things that they're going to do. And some of these big corporations that are getting all these exemptions, we bring them on board to also pay some taxes, because one company, and so all these things are in the budget, and we seem to have blocked and just looking at just the percentage and stuff like that, So as far as the percentage is concerned, and like I said last week, let us all come to an agreement. The opposition were going to go for a 1%. Government was going to go for like 1.5%. And, we go, and then we come to a point. But when we are at deadlock, I don't want it at all and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we cannot. When we all have admitted that we're borrowing too much, there's a need for us to leapfrog our development in some areas, infrastructure and employment especially. And we need to come up with an aggressive way as we seek to do the other things that will cushion all of us, which is the industrialization that we're talking about, the production that we're talking about. Once we have not gotten there, this is the option we have. But we all agree. I perfectly agree with you that, the same people are being taxed over and over again, and there's the need for us to work. And this is where we are going to need all of us to come on board with all these ideas and say, okay, so let's do it this way, and not this thing of no. You see, the people that are saying no, they will, if they get the opportunity to come, you see, they will slap it there, bam, on that. So much on that, Okay. Let me talk quickly on the award. You see, when Kagame was awarded, I did not hear any fake thing.
Right.
I did not hear fake stuff. Now, what I'm hearing, people, is the normal, let us vilify our own, let us destroy our own, because, for purposes of politics and stuff like that. Now, I'm hearing Paul say fake, and I'm hearing, is it Buama? One of their former ministers saying, what is the guy's name? He poured something. He also got awarded. The truth of the matter is an award has come, and as Ghanaians, we should be proud of that, and then pin our leaders to, letting them deliver, so that the Ghana Beyond Aid, we see it not as rhetoric, but as a practice. And that, we are moving towards that challenge. And I see this budget as in there. And mind you see, these people don't just take award based on what somebody is saying. They have researchers and they have people they consult. And there's a whole bunch of people that they consult, and then they decide that we're going to give it to this person or that person. So if it is coming to Ghana, let us embrace it. Let us, ask our leaders to do more and more for us, so that the citizens will get the fruit of their leadership. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so thanks for watching this part of the presentation. Again, my name is Alfred Amuzu. I've been talking to Afar Mayal, Dr. Ato Kwame-Danso, and my own friend Paul Disosu. And what we've discussed so far is the E-levy and whether lessons can be learned from countries such as Uganda, Congo, Malawi, and our own neighbors, Cote d'Ivoire, who have done a version of what we are trying to do. And as we've seen in the discussions, there's so much more to be learned, and there's so much more to be done. We don't know what the new or adjusted or the concessions are. So we're waiting to see how Parliament is going to play next week. But you've heard every contribution on this program so far, and I hope you've learned something. At the end of the day, that is what we try to do on the Ghana Agenda. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already done so, please share the link. Also, like our page so that each time we come, you can get our contents. Again, thanks for watching. We really appreciate you.